So after a long wait, we finally got Isom number 2, the sequel to the smash hit Rippaverse comic from Eric July, which is a brand new indie comic company setting out to challenge Marvel and DC for their monopoly or duopoly on the market. And I'm a big fan of supporting that, and it's a very successful campaign that made millions of dollars, so there's clearly a huge market for it. So I reviewed the last issue, and you could check in the description for a link to that review. And my review basically was that it was a good issue that I enjoyed, but wasn't great, and there were a few things setting it back that we'll get into when I get into my review. But I was going into this issue needing an improvement on the original. And I think that's what we have here. We have a better, more refined story that is more engaging, has more action, and is overall just more engaging. So I'm going to cut over to the table footage, and we're going to break into the book and let you guys know what I think. There will be spoilers in this review, but if you only want my first impressions, you can take a look at the first few minutes, and then as I get into the book, tune out then. But be sure to let me know what you think of this book in the comment section. So here's the book, everybody. This is cover B by Ethan Van Sciver, and I think it's a great cover, very eye-catching. We got this new character Sydney here, and we got the creatures in this issue that are heavily featured. So I would say overall, compared to the first issue especially, this one is a lot more focused, and I think that's one of the better things about it. Whereas one of my big criticisms of issue 1 was that there were a lot of tangents along the way that maybe it would have been better to cut out and focus purely on Avery and Isom. So what's interesting to me about this is we have pretty much a brand new story. We follow a little bit with Darren here, but in general, it's mostly focused on another storyline. So unless they're going to be connected some way down the line, it seems like it's an all-new type of storyline, which in one way is good, but in another way, it makes it feel like the last issue is not as important. You know, we went to the city to meet with Darren to save somebody, and she doesn't appear in this issue at all. So it feels a little bit disconnected, but I think it's actually an improvement given that we are focusing instead on something new and fresh and not going 10 different places. So there's pros and cons to it. We start off the issue with Altoona, and she's going into work. She's the head technology officer, it seems like, at an entertainment company, and she is met by Darren. Darren is there, so we knew based on last issue that the family was in danger. We have Avery making mistakes, you know, getting too involved, and things didn't end up working out. So here we have Darren meeting with Altoona to threaten her and her daughter. So it's definitely, you know, it's the big bad we're setting up, and you know, they do a lot to make sure that he's very evil. But I think it's a bit much because he like slaps her across the face, which I would have preferred, you know, a little bit more subtlety there. I get it is a comic book and you want that motion in there, but I feel like, you know, he was threatening enough already. I guess they just want to hammer home that he's an evil guy, but it seems a bit too much too quickly, I think. And I don't know exactly what he was trying to achieve with that, you know. So I don't know. It seems a bit much, but we got a new character here. Lincoln from Projex's founder is the company that Altoona works for, it seems like. And I don't know if he has some powers or something. He seems to be a strong guy. I don't know if he's just like regularly strong or if he has superpowers or something. But he comes in and saves the day, and he stops Darren from beating her up. So it kind of feels like it should have maybe gone into a firefight or something, but I guess it's a standoff because we have guns on both sides. So my major piece of criticism here in this issue is that, you know, whereas the first issue we had like kind of tangential storylines, you know, like the farm, which we'll get back to that, but these storylines kind of sit by the wayside, I would say. We kind of have dialogue that is a bit bloated as opposed to storylines. So It's just very simple nitpicky stuff where like you used too many words to say what needs to be said. So here's an example here. In casual conversation, I remember you saying you bringing up the fact that you knew him. That's a lot of words to say something really simple. It would be better to say, I remember you knew him, or so, something more straightforward. It's a bit overly wordy, and it doesn't really sound like, people talking per se. So that's the one. It's a little bit too formal as well. So formal and wordy, and that's kind of true throughout the issue. It's not bad or anything, but that's the biggest piece of criticism I would have is a lot of this dialogue could be tightened up a little bit. So that's pretty much even the word bubbles could be smaller. But I didn't say yet, but of course the art is fantastic. It's definitely a professional caliber, no doubt about it. And it's just as good as the last issue, if not better, because we got more variety. And we're getting a view of more of the world here. So we're kind of establishing world building more so. So here we get a flashback to why Avery decided to leave the superhero life behind. And this part of the issue, I would say they left it ambiguous in the first one, and now they're giving us this answer. It's not satisfying to me. Basically, he failed to save somebody that he didn't really know very well, it seems like. And that was what, he says it wasn't the first fight that he lost. I mean, I love the design of Chadrin here. I don't know if he's going to come back, but it's a cool looking character. But yeah, it's just like some random people died that he was trying to save, and he didn't manage to do it. It just doesn't have that emotional impact. It would have made more sense if it was like, his wife or family member, somebody he had a real connection with. But it just kind of seems kind of random. And also, like in the superhero life, I'm sure other people have died along the way. So I don't know what it is about this particular woman that made him quit. So I don't know. It seems a bit much to me. It's a minor complaint, but we didn't answer this in the first issue. So it should have a bit more impact, I think. But it is cool to see, and like I said, it's a more action-packed issue, and they get that right up front, and it's not as dialogue heavy as the previous one, so it is definitely taking advantage of the comic medium, and it's full of motion and lots of cool fights, so I like that. But here we get the main storyline set up. He was previously talking to the guy who created his superhero costume, and he's basically saying you can't quit this time. You have to really go on through it. So he's back in the superhero life, and then he goes back to his farm, which they seem to be setting up that there was something secret going on at the farm. But now in this issue, the farm is burned on fire. I don't want to show every page here, but yeah, the farm was burned. So whatever they were setting up last issue kind of seems like it's just gone up in flames, literally. So I don't know if we're gonna get back to that, but it kind of makes the setting up the farm aspect feel a little hollow, I suppose. But here we got a new character named Gooding, and this is a private security officer that you can hire, and he's got a robot, and I like this character. He'll basically provide you police services and investigation and stuff like that. We get this little ad here, and it says packages as low as $49.99 a month. And I would say it seems like he's out in a remote area that really needs this type of thing. And it seems to me like that's a little bit low. Like, I don't know how many clients he really realistically could have. So $50 a month, I don't think that would be enough to, pay for his whole business and stuff. But that's a nitpick at the end of the day. I do enjoy this character. I really like this ad too. It looks, very in the world. It's setting up, something that feels like a genuine thing. And I know Eric July supports this kind of police force existing, so he's portrayed as a good guy here. So Avery sits down, and then he gets a phone call from his sister's boss, and he basically finds out about Darren, and he gets very upset. And this is something last issue that really excited me was Avery potentially going down a dark side and letting his anger get the best of him. and he was talking about how he felt disrespected by Darren, and that was his primary motivation. I feel like we kind of lost that aspect now, but I do enjoy seeing him get angry here. I would like to play with that a little bit. Maybe he's not purely good or evil. It's just, he has flaws. That's something that intrigues me there. So then we got Darren. He's talking to the Accept that fought with Avery last issue, and he basically fires him. And it's just more setting up. Oh, this guy's an asshole, and he mentions Jasmine here, so that's the last we hear about Jasmine. And then we got a kind of random scene with a studio wrestler, and it seems like the company that Altoona works for is in fact a company that deals with entertainment or something. They mentioned it's the event, the company event. So I don't know. I guess they're involved with that somehow. I'm not sure what a tech officer would be doing. Maybe she has like a streaming platform, or she's in charge of getting cameras and stuff. But I don't know exactly. We got somebody here who's like considering a consulting position, but it just seems to be setting up that she's like got plans of her own. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. That's just kind of like dropped in here. I'm not sure if we'll follow up with that. Maybe it's somebody from the last issue that I don't remember right now. But yeah, then basically the boss, Altoona's boss, gets attacked by Darren's people, and he had a guy who was, a turncoat basically driving him. And I like these action scenes, but he ends with him going through the windshield. So I don't know, maybe he does have superpowers, and he can survive that no problem. But if so, it kind of feels a little repetitive because we got a lot of superpowered people that have super strength primarily. So I don't know. I would like to see some new type of powers, which we do see later on in the issue. So, and then we got Avery. He goes home and gets a gun, and then Sam, the wife, or I forget the wife's name, but this is Sam's wife. Sam was the guy at the farm who disappeared, and they're going to Goodion's facility to follow up on the investigation. And we have a lot of different methods of like flying in this issue. And here's a robot that has like things you stand on. It just doesn't feel very safe. It looks kind of funny to me, but it is a cool visual. I just kind of chuckled at it. But she ends up passing out, and Avery's like, I knew she was gonna pass out. And I was just thinking, well, why didn't you ask her to sit down first? It's just little things, and the dialogue needs to be tightened up. But basically, he's saying that there's creatures that are like aliens of some kind or from some other plane of existence, and we see them more later. He gets the superhero costume, looking cool, and then he's sent by Goodion to this castle, which I love the design of this castle. And there's like a lady who has control of these wolves, and she's got like a dragon, and she seems to be like, I don't know if she's a vampire. Sydney here, she's on the cover here. She seems to have some type of blood magic. She uses blood to cause explosions. So basically, the rest of the issue is an action-packed issue where they go to a nearby cave, and there's a lot of creatures there, and they rescue Sam, and that's pretty much the issue. I really love the ending. I'm not going to show you the art, but I really like the action scenes here and the fighting. But I don't want to show you too much because, I want you to go buy this book if you're interested in it. So, yeah, the blood magic is super cool. I mean, just look at that. So I really love the art here. It's fantastic, and the coloring as well. And we get a look at the big bad, and that's the end of the issue. So I just want to throw in here at the end of the issue, Isom kind of explodes, or seems to at least mimic the explosion that Sydney did. So I theorized in the first issue that he kind of had a copycat ability, and he seems to have an explosive ability, whether that's just a power that he has that he can explode, or if he saw Sydney do that and he gained that ability. I'm not entirely sure, but I like that we're setting up kind of a mystery that hasn't been fully exposed yet. Overall, I would say it's improved from the first one, as much as I would like to see some of the storylines from the first one followed up on. I went into this book expecting and hoping for an improvement from Eric's script And I think we have it. It's more focused. It's a kind of self-contained story, sets up interesting things, but we got a lot to tie up together in one final issue of this story arc. So we got to really tie in Darren's story arc with the creatures somehow. If not, it feels a little disjointed. You know, in this issue, we didn't see Yaira, we didn't see Alpha Core, so that really does just feel like, you know, they planted those in the first issue so that we can have spin-offs. It doesn't feel like they're related. We hear about Yaira at one point in the book, but it just kind of seemed tacked on. But we'll see in the next issue what ends up happening there. So that's my review of this book. So that's my review of Isom number 2. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. But with that, it's been your boy Shuggy. I'll see you guys in the next review. Let me know if you want me to review the upcoming Alpha Core Yaira number 1 or issue 3 of Isom. I will definitely do that if you guys are interested. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.